What do we have here, boxing world? Well, I have proof right here in front of me that Shakur Stevenson went into the Edwin De Los Santos fight with multiple injuries, just like Bob Arum said when everybody said he was telling a lie and making excuses. Well, we're going to talk about what those injuries were in this video. But before we do that, make sure that you hit my like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed to the channel. So Shakur Stevenson is one of the most hated fighters in all of boxing. And when you get the amount of hate that Shakur Stevenson does, you know that you gotta be headed towards greatness. Because one thing you gotta understand is in life, if people don't talk about you, then it's something wrong. People always talk about the greats or when you headed towards greatness. But Shakur, he put on a performance that everybody said was boring. Everybody said he ran. And when he put on that performance against Edwin De Los Santos in a fight that he did win, all his haters came out the woodworks. I'm talking about they was coming out the bushes from everywhere. And still to this day, Shakur Stevenson haters is all up under his comments, trolling him anytime he say anything. When you're a threat to other people's favorite fighter, they're going to hate on you. You're going to get a whole lot of hate. So, after his last fight, it was revealed that he had several injuries. Now, Mark Kriegel, during the fight, said that Shakur Stevenson had injuries going into the fight. People said that Mark Kriegel, he was an ESPN guy. He was just lying for Shakur Stevenson. And then Bob Arum, he came out. He said Shakur has several injuries. He said one of the injuries, he had a shoulder injury. He said he also suffered a hand injury. He said it was so bad during training camp, we were thinking about pulling the fight, right? Shutting off the whole fight card because we didn't think that Shakur could go. But Shakur insisted on fighting Edwin De Los Santos. Now, leading up to the fight, I seen Shakur energy kind of change. People was asking him, what was he going to do in the fight? And he was like, hey, I'm just going to go out there and win, man. I don't got too much to say. I'm going to go out there and win, right? But when the fight was announced, and a couple of weeks after the fight was announced, Shakur was talking that big shit like he always does. So when I saw his energy was kind of different, I really didn't think anything of it until I seen him get in the ring with Edwin De Los Santos. And I'm looking, 4 rounds go by, 5 rounds go by. And I'm like, he's not throwing any left hands. And not just only he's not throwing any left hands, he's really not throwing too many punches at all. He's doing a whole lot of feinting and bluffing, but he's not letting his hands go. And that's not like Shakur Stevenson at all. Now, you got his haters. They came out the woodwork saying, oh, man, Shakur, he does this anytime he gets in the ring with a big puncher. He did the same thing versus Nakatila. And I said, that's cap. Because not only did he whoop Nakatila every round, he actually dropped Nakatila in that fight. Now, he fought Nakatila on the outside when a lot of Shakur Stevenson fights, people were used to seeing Shakur step to fighters and fight him on the inside in that mid-range. But he used his movement and he controlled the whole fight against Nakatila on the outside. And he told everybody, yeah, Nakatila could crack, right? But Shakur still let his hands go in that fight. So we never had seen a fight with Shakur Stevenson where he really didn't throw that many punches at all. Now, he only averaged 17 punches per round against De Los Santos. Now, all of his haters, they said it was because he was terrified of De Los Santos. That's why he didn't throw the left hand. He was terrified of getting hit by De Los Santos. Well, when I watched the fight wasn't entertaining. But I seen a lot of things that Shakur was doing. I seen him feinting a lot. I seen him bluffing like he was going to throw the left hand, but he wasn't throwing it, right? And like I said, he wasn't even throwing a lot of jabs. He wasn't throwing a lot of punches at all. But he did what he had to do to win the fight. And one thing that I took out of that fight is Shakur Stevenson's defense is immaculate, like we already know. And he was able to control that fight off of his ring IQ. He has a super high ring IQ. That's why he was able to bluff Edwin De Los Santos most of the time through that fight. That's ring IQ. De Los Santos was afraid of getting countered by Shakur Stevenson. That's why De Los Santos wasn't doing shit himself. And if you think I'm bullshit, De Los Santos' trainer said that when he did an interview on Mill City Boxing. Now, after the fight, Shakur, he didn't really want to make excuses. He didn't want to say that he had an injury, right? Because when you say you got an injury, it doesn't matter if you had one or not. Everybody gonna come out and criticize you and say that you telling lies, say that you making excuses, just like they're doing to Errol Spence right now. So Shakur really didn't want to say anything himself, but it was people around him that came out and said he had an injury. Like I stated, Bob Arum said it, Mark Kriegel of ESPN said it, and of course, Shakur Stevenson, he got all the criticism, said that they was making excuses for him. All he does is run, and he's terrified of De Los Santos. So it comes with the territory when you're a great fighter, or when you're going towards being a great fighter. So with all that being said, Shakur Stevenson, he came through my live stream that I did this past Saturday. And my man Knockout started pressing him and told Shakur Stevenson that he was making excuses, that he wasn't injured, and if he was injured, that he needed to come out and provide proof. Now Shakur was like, what am I going to provide proof for? I don't have to provide proof. It ain't my duty to provide proof to the fans and everybody that I'm injured. I'm telling you what it is, so basically you're going to take my word for it or you not. Shakur says, it's my duty to perform for my audience. So I get that. I got to put on much better performances, but you can't tell me that I wasn't injured. And so Knockout started pressing him about what injuries he had, and he was like, I don't even want to get into that, because he knows that whatever he say, people gonna say it's excuses, right? Knockout says, well, send the info to Everything Boxing, and he can send it to me. And he says, I won't post it. Now, that footage I'll be dropping for everybody to see here real soon. But with all that being said, what I have here in my hand, right, is Shakur's proof that he did have two different injuries, not just one injury. And he was injured on both sides of his body. Not just the left side, he was also injured on the right side. And I have also sent this information over to Knockout Boxing 86 TV, as y'all should already know that by now. So one injury that Shakur Stevenson had, I can speak on this injury because I actually had the injury myself, and I need surgery because I let it linger on too long and it's got too bad now, right? Now, the injury that Shakur has, he has a torn labrum in his right shoulder. So he had a torn labrum in his right shoulder, and it protruded down all the way to his right bicep. Now, of course, the first thing people gonna say, well, that don't have nothing to do with his left hand. He wasn't throwing his left. Yeah, but that has something to do with why he wasn't throwing a lot of punches at all. He wasn't throwing no lefts, but he wasn't throwing his right hand a lot either, right? Now, so that's an injury that I know, speaking from experience, that when you throw any type of punches, especially hooks, even straights, when you try to throw a football or baseball, it hurts. Now, you can throw the shot, but it hurts to throw it. Now, the second injury that Shakur Stevenson suffered, he suffered a partial tear in his left middle finger. So that's his left hand. I have the paperwork right in front of me. Once again, he suffered a partial tear in his left middle finger. And once I put the live stream back up, right, and y'all see, I asked Shakur Stevenson, why did he have a big Band-Aid going down his middle finger? He didn't want to answer. He says, oh, I fell, and kind of laughed it off, right? So the reason I asked him that is because I'm like, you must have had a procedure done on your middle finger. And come to find out, I was absolutely right. It shows that right here on the MRI paperwork that I'm looking at. So yes, I have the two MRIs that Shakur Stevenson took on November the 30th. I got all the paperwork right here. Now you might say, well, we don't believe you. Why don't you post the paperwork? I don't have to do a damn thing. And I'm not posting no paperwork with all of that man's personal information on it. So you can take me for my word, or you can say I'm lying, because one thing about haters, they gon' hate no matter what. But I'm just letting y'all know that Shakur wasn't lying. Bob Arum wasn't lying. Mark Krieger wasn't lying. Shakur did go into that fight, and he did have several injuries that I just revealed to y'all. Now, Shakur said that he wants to smoke again with Edwin De Los Santos. He said, no, I'm going to fight Edwin De Los Santos again. Now, I doubt that fight is next, but whenever it happens, I'm going to be looking forward to see that again. Because from now on, if Shakur is healthy, we know, the real ones know, that he gonna put on hell of a performances just like he had been before this last fight. Anyway, y'all let me know how y'all feel about this. Drop a comment in the comment section. Make sure that you hit my like button. And y'all already know how I do. There you go, talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.
2 miles per hour, so everybody sees you. Ride, ride.